Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of English Conversations, your go-to podcast for learning English in a fun and interesting way. I'm Marco.
And I'm Katharina. We're here to help you improve your English skills through engaging conversations and useful tips you can apply right away. Marco, what's today's topic?
Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to explore the topic of travel and cultural exchange. It's something that interests a lot of people, and it's a great way to practice English.
Oh, that sounds fun. Traveling is such a good topic to learn vocabulary and expressions. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with a question. Katharina, if you could visit any country in the world, where would you go and why?
That's a tough one. I think I'd love to visit Japan. I've always been fascinated by their culture, especially the combination of tradition and modernity. And, of course, I'd love to try authentic sushi. What about you, Marco?
Japan is a great choice. For me, I'd pick New Zealand. The landscapes there are breathtaking, and I've heard it's a paradise for hiking and outdoor adventures. Plus, I'd like to learn more about the Maori culture.
That's interesting. Speaking of travel, let's share a few tips for talking about travel in English. For example, when you're at an airport, you might need to ask, "Where is the check-in counter?" Or, "What time is my flight?"
Good examples. Another common phrase is, "Can you tell me how to get to the gate?" Or if you're at a hotel, you might say, "I'd like to check in," or "Is breakfast included?" These are all useful when traveling.
Absolutely. Let's also talk about making friends while traveling. Marco, how do you usually start a conversation with someone new when you're abroad?
That's a great question. I usually start with something simple, like, "Hi, where are you from?" Or, "Are you traveling alone?" It's a friendly way to break the ice. What about you?
I like to ask about the local area. For example, do you know any good restaurants nearby? Or, what's your favorite place to visit here? People love sharing tips about their city or country.
That's true, and it's a great way to practice your English while learning about the local culture. Let's give our listeners another role-play example. I'll start. "Hi, I'm Marco. Are you visiting the city for the first time?"
Hi, Marco. Yes, it's my first time here. I'm actually here for a week. Do you know any must-see places?
Definitely. You should visit the old town and check out the local market. They have amazing food and souvenirs.
That sounds great. Thanks for the suggestion.
See, it's simple and effective. Now, let's talk about describing experiences. When you return from a trip, people often ask, "How was your trip, Katharina?" How would you answer that?
I'd say something like, "It was amazing. The weather was perfect, and I loved the food." Or if it wasn't so great, I might say, "It was okay. The weather wasn't the best, but I still had a good time."
Good examples. Adding details like weather, food, or activities makes your answers more interesting. For example, "I went hiking, and the views were incredible." Or, "The beach was crowded, but the water was so clear."
And don't forget to ask follow-up questions. For example, what was your favorite part of the trip? Or, would you go back again?
Yes, follow-up questions show interest and keep the conversation going. Now, let's talk about cultural exchange. Marco, what's one cultural tradition you've learned from someone else that you found fascinating? I once learned about Diwali, the Indian festival of lights. It's such a beautiful celebration with candles, sweets, and fireworks. What about you?
I learned about Thanksgiving from some American friends. I love the idea of gathering with family and friends to share a meal and express gratitude. It's such a warm and meaningful tradition.
That's wonderful. For our listeners, here's a tip. When someone shares their culture with you, don't hesitate to share something from your own culture in return. It creates a great exchange of ideas.
Absolutely. For example, if someone tells you about their holiday traditions, you could respond with, "That sounds amazing. In my country, we celebrate by doing this." It's a great way to practice English while connecting with others.
And don't be shy to ask questions like, "How do you celebrate this holiday?" Or, "What does this tradition mean?" It shows curiosity and helps you learn more.
Another fun idea is to share recipes or try cooking dishes from different cultures. Marco, have you ever tried making a dish from another country?
Yes, I once tried making Mexican tacos. It was so much fun, and I learned a lot of new food-related vocabulary like spices, tortilla, and salsa.
That's awesome. I tried making Italian tiramisu after learning the recipe from you. It's a delicious dessert, and I loved saying the word mascarpone.
That's great. Cooking is such a practical and enjoyable way to learn new words and phrases. For our listeners, try cooking something new and describing the steps in English.
Good idea! Let's also talk about journaling. When you travel, keeping a journal in English can help you practice writing. Marco, what kind of things would you write in a travel journal?
I'd write about the places I visited, the food I ate, and the people I met. For example, today, I visited the Eiffel Tower. The view was incredible, and I had a croissant at a nearby cafe.
That's a great example. Writing in English helps you remember new words and improve your grammar. Plus, it's a wonderful way to document your memories.
Definitely. And if you're traveling with friends, you can even practice English together by talking about your day. For example, what was your favorite part of today? Or what did you think of the museum?
Absolutely, Marco. And imagine you're in a new country and trying to order food in English, but the waiter keeps smiling and saying things like, "Yes, please, that's great," even though you just asked where the ketchup is. You get to practice your English, and they get to practice their patience.
Speaking of food, you could start a mystery dish game. When you're visiting a new country, you could ask someone, "What's the weirdest food you eat here?" Then, they give you the dish, and you try it and describe it in English. Good practice for your vocabulary. And don't worry if it tastes weird, you just add a bit of "this is interesting" to your answer.
Oh, I love that idea. You could even do a cultural exchange karaoke night where everyone has to sing a song in English, but only the song lyrics from their home country. It's a hilarious way to practice pronunciation and learn about each other's culture while laughing at how badly everyone sings.
And how about setting up an English photo scavenger hunt while traveling? You and your friends could make a list of English words related to your destination like landmark, bus station, or tourist trap, and race to take pictures of them. You'll end up practicing your English while taking fun pictures. Just don't take too long looking for the most confusing street sign.
That's so fun! You could even keep an English travel diary where every day you write a few sentences in English about the funniest or most awkward thing that happened during your trip. Reading it back later could make you laugh and show how far you've come in your learning.
And remember, if you ever get lost during your travels and have to ask for directions in English, just pretend it's part of your learning experience. "Excuse me, can you help me get lost? Find the nearest station." It's a great way to bond with locals while improving your English and laughing at yourself along the way.
Great ideas, Marco! So, to sum it up, travel and culture exchange are fun, especially when you use them to practice English. Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Try new foods, play games, and embrace the awkward moments because that's all part of the journey.
Now that we've covered some fun ideas, let's dive into some travel and cultural exchange vocabulary for beginners. First, let's talk about basic phrases for asking for directions. A common one is "Excuse me, where is the train station?" You can replace train station with other places like the nearest bus stop or the restaurant.
Right, Marco. Another one is "How do I get to the museum?" Let's say you're in a new city and you want to visit the museum. You could ask, "How do I get to the museum?" And then the person might say, "Turn left, go straight, and it's on your right." You'll have learned a few simple directions in English.
Exactly. And you could also ask, "Is it far?" if you're unsure whether the place is close or far. Imagine you're walking in a busy city and you want to make sure you're going in the right direction. You could say, "Excuse me, is it far from here?" The person could respond, "No, it's close," or "Yes, it's quite far."
That's helpful. Now let's talk about food-related phrases. When you're at a restaurant, you can say, "I'd like to order a sandwich, please." It's simple and polite. Or if you're not sure about something on the menu, you could ask, "What's in this dish?" Or "Is it spicy?" Especially if you're worried about trying something too hot.
Great. You can also use phrases like "I'll have the soup, please" when ordering. Let's say you're traveling to another country, and you're not familiar with the food. You could point to the menu and say, "Can you recommend something for me?" The waiter will probably suggest something tasty.
When you are in a new place, you also want to know basic greetings. You can say hello or good morning for everyday greetings. If you're meeting someone new from another country, you might want to ask, "Where are you from?" And if they ask you, you can say, "I'm from your country." It's a simple but important way to start a conversation.
And don't forget to thank people. Thank you or thanks is always a good way to show appreciation, especially when someone helps you out. If you want to ask more politely, you could say, "Could you please help me?" or "Excuse me, may I ask?"
Now, let's practice with a little story. Imagine you're visiting a new city. You walk into a cafe and want to ask for directions to the nearest park. You could say,
Excuse me, where is the nearest park?
It's just down the street. Turn left and you'll see it on your right.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Now, you're at the park, and you want to know what people usually do there. You could ask,
What do people usually do in this park?
They walk, have picnics, and sometimes play sports. It's a great place to relax.
That sounds fun. Thank you.
and after your fun day, you go to a restaurant and order food. You could say,
I'd like to have the chicken salad, please.
Sure. Would you like something to drink with that?
Yes, I'll have some water, please.
Coming right up.
Those are great examples, Katharina. And if you're in a situation where you're trying something new, like a foreign dish, you can say,
What's in this dish?
It's rice with vegetables and spices. It's not spicy, but it's very tasty.
I can't wait to try it. Thank you for the recommendation.
Exactly, Marco. Learning these phrases and practicing them with real experiences while traveling or exchanging cultures makes it easier to communicate. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
well, I think we've covered some great travel and cultural exchange phrases today, don't you, Katharina? From asking for directions to ordering food, these are the kinds of phrases that will help you get around and connect with people wherever you go.
Definitely, Marco. And remember, whether you're traveling, exploring new cultures, or just practicing your English, it's all about having fun and staying confident. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the journey.
Exactly. So, thank you so much for tuning in today, and we hope you found these tips and phrases helpful. If you're planning a trip or just want to practice your English, we're sure you'll have plenty of fun with these new tools.
We hope you enjoyed the podcast and that it gave you some fresh ideas for your English learning journey. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep having fun.
That's right, Katharina. We wish all of our listeners safe travels and exciting cultural exchanges. Until next time, happy learning, and good luck on your English adventures.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.